Jim Harbaugh is 2-0 with his new team, the Los Angeles Chargers here, and they're flying over to Pittsburgh to take on Justin Fields, Mike Tomlin, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were also 2-0, so this matchup of undefeated teams here in week 3. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Ryan and I, we're going to break down the game, the key matchups that you need to watch, and at the very end of the video, give our predictions. But before we do that, we want to give a huge shout out to everybody that subscribed during our week 2 prediction videos. Not only did you help us meet our goal of 100 new subscribers, but we also surpassed 200 plus new subscribers during the entire week 2 video. So huge thank you to everybody. I think the goal for this week, potentially, let's just see if we can get another 100 new subscribers. Let's not get too greedy here. So this is your first time here at the Tracy Take. 1, welcome, but 2, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and also a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win this game here. So Ryan, both the Chargers and Steelers are 2-0 on the season. I will say probably not a lot of teams, not a lot of people are shocked, so to say, but potentially a little surprised that both teams are 2-0. Not high expectations for the Chargers, a lot of questions for the Steelers coming into the season, as well just with the whole quarterback situation. But they've both been able to grind out some games. The Chargers haven't really grinded out too much, especially not with their win today against the Panthers. There was no grinding whatsoever at all with their dominant victory against the Carolina Panthers. Pittsburgh Steelers, it was, even though the score was 13-6 against the Denver Broncos, felt like they were in control the entire time, and it makes sense they're going up against the Broncos. What do you think of both of the Chargers and Steelers teams going into this week 3 matchup?
Yeah, I think I'm a little surprised to see both of these teams here. I mean, I understand maybe more the Steelers being here rather than the Chargers, but I just thought the Chargers were kind of in the midst of a rebuilding phase. They were going to struggle, I thought, at the beginning of the year, especially against the Raiders in week 1. I just thought that defense would be a little overwhelming for them in a new offensive system, but they proved me wrong there, and props to them. And I like to see Quentin Johnston get involved with 2 touchdowns against the Panthers. Again, Panthers are probably the worst team in the league. Them, the Giants, the Broncos, I think, are all competing in that race as well. I say that wearing a Patriots shirt. I'm going to act like I don't belong in that conversation either. But, hey, we have a win. So, all in all, like, I just think the Chargers they're going to be a well-rounded team that's going to play good fundamental football. And they're just not going to beat themselves, especially right now, while they are in the rebuilding phase where they have a bunch of young talent, and they're kind of trying to build up some of these guys to be good professional football players. Whereas I think the Steelers are in a bit of a different stage because they're not entering a rebuild. This defense is very good, led by TJ Watt, doing his thing. I mean, he's wreaked absolute havoc in both of the first 2 games of the season and just been a dominant force. And the offensive side, really the only thing that's changed is the quarterback. They got rid of Deontay Johnson. George Pickens is kind of taking over those targets and winning down the field. And that kind of beefed up this offensive line. It really just comes down to the consistency at the quarterback spot on if this team is going to be successful or not. And I guess it's been consistent enough so far through the first couple of weeks. And so it's going to be a really interesting matchup. I'm very excited to see like how these teams compare to each other. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fun one.
It's definitely going to be a grinded out game. Both of these teams have won through like hard-nosed defense and I think running the ball. The Chargers had 219 rushing yards today against the Panthers, which isn't really too much to really put your head to brag about because it's the Panthers. But at the same time, Pittsburgh Steelers also had 141 rushing yards today against the Broncos, which I would say historically have had a solid defense. It was tough for them to move the ball, and I think they did a decent job against the Seahawks in week 1 with a little bit of assistance from them, I will say. But still, though, I think this is going to be a very interesting game to watch. There's a couple of key matchups that I want to bring up as well. But before we get into that, if you do like to put a couple bucks down on the Chargers or Steelers games, be sure to check the link down below, as BetUS has a bunch of great promotions going on right now for first-time players for all the NFL games, NBA when that season comes around, MLB is wrapping up. So you can check out all those odds and check the link down below. I think with this game right here, kind of the odds are going to fluctuate throughout the week, but I think this is going to be a lot closer than people initially realize. If you kind of look if you break down each game here, and even from the odds, Steelers might be slight favorites because it is going to be at home, and that defense is definitely top notch as well. Same with the Chargers. I think they have a lot of good talent. They have been maybe a little more injury riddled throughout the past couple of years, but I think on paper though, I mean Joey Bosa versus TJ Watt. TJ Watt's a little bit better, but then you have Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack on their side, Asante Samuel Jr. You have TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cameron Hayward, Joey Porter Jr., Mika Fitzpatrick, and so there's a lot of great talent I think on both sides of the ball here. And so that's where I think you said it earlier too. I kind of look at some of the matchups. So how the quarterback's going to play against both these teams here, because this might be one of the few times I think I can confidently say for the Chargers, they might have better weapons. George Pickens is going to be the best weapon of all the teams combined, I would say. But I think overall broad scale wise, I'm kind of leaning towards the Chargers here a little bit with how effective they've been able to run the ball. But also then too, Quinn Johnson's coming off a couple touchdowns. Ladd McConkey seems solid. And also part of that as well, I'm not super confident with the Steelers receiving room. Now, I say that, and I know people are going to be commenting, they do have Pat Freiermuth, they do have Najee Harris, and I think that's a fair point. I might have spoke a little bit too soon.
That was going to be my argument. Is like I think you look at the skill position group as a whole, I think it's better. But Justin Herbert is far and away the best quarterback in this matchup. It's not even like remotely close between him and Justin Fields or Russell Wilson if he decides he's going to play this week. And so
I'll be honest, I don't know why you would start Russell Wilson. I mean, Justin Fields.
I think Justin Fields gives you an athletic advantage that you're going to have the inconsistency throwing the ball, but he gives you an athletic advantage that you're just not going to get with a mid-30s Russell Wilson. So I think, like, stylistically, this is going to be I'm going to say a horrible game to watch because both of these teams want to win like 10-6. Like they both want to play the same. Like, all right, well, we're gonna try to win in the trenches. We're gonna run the football. We're gonna stop the run, prevent big plays, and like we're gonna make you go like 8-10 yard chunks down the field at a time. And like that to me is just a recipe for punts and 3 and outs. Like,
well, it's a different kind of. So this way, I don't think it's a horrible game to watch. Like we did our New York Jets Thursday Night Football preview already, so go check out that video. But that game I could see being kind of potentially a horrible game to watch, just because maybe there might be inconsistencies on each offensive side of the ball. That being said, though, I actually think this will be a fun chess match to watch where it might be 10-6, yes. But Jim Harbaugh, I think, is he has a huge advantage now to the Chargers team. Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the league, and he's one of the smartest. He's been winning games like this for almost a decade now, it seems like, where it's just this grinded out type of game. We're going to beat you 13-6, like how they did from Denver. It's like almost working the game backwards, being like, okay, we need to score a touchdown here. We need to hold you to field goals here. And so I think it's going to be a fun chess match to watch here because both teams are extremely limited on the offensive side of the ball, as we discussed earlier. And both teams, I think, are well above average, at minimum, well above average on the defensive side of the ball. And to me, I think the number one matchup is, and if I'm not mistaken, Joey Bosa also lines up in the same spot as TJ Watt. You're going to have 2 rookie right tackles going up against 2 of the best edge rushers in the league. Who's going to win that matchup? Is Troy Fautanu going to beat Joey Bosa? Is Joe Alt going to be able to beat TJ Watt? Because I think whichever rookie tackle is able to slow down their star edge rusher from the team, I think that's going to be the team I think that wins the game. Because what Los Angeles has done is they have been dominating the ball through the run. They dominated the Las Vegas Raiders defensive front in week 1 running the ball. I think they had, I can check it here real quick. I think they had like 180 rushing yards in that game, 176 rushing yards in that game, 219 against Carolina. And so just overall, they have been running the ball really well. And I know it was Carolina's defensive front, but they did a really good job holding Max Crosby and company to little to no effectiveness, especially in the second half of that game, and pulled away from them. Mm-hmm. I think they could potentially do that again here in Pittsburgh, but it's all just going to depend on how Joe Alt does against TJ Watt. And Pittsburgh on the flip side, I think they're going to have a very similar formula. Is how are they going to be able to slow down Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, and company, and try and give George Pickens the ball when they can, because some of the other guys, they're just not. It's not athletic enough to create enough separation because for Justin Fields to throw them the ball, because Fields does need a high margin of error and some separation. Pickens is one of the only guys that can do that. They have some other guys that they can facilitate the ball to, as I mentioned earlier when I corrected myself with Pat Freiermuth. And they have a couple other guys like Van Jefferson, for example. But ideally, though, they're going to be playing a similar style of game of trying to control the offense through the run, which open up a couple plays through the pass.
Yeah. And that I think that's going to be both teams' mentality going into it. And I also want to clarify, when I said it's going to be a bad game to watch, it could be a chess match. It's just going to be boring as shit. Like,
well, no, I get what you're saying. Of
it's not going to be a high scoring game.
No, I get what you're saying, because like there are 10-6 games. Shoot, there's a Giants Commanders game today, 21-18. I take that back. It was interesting to watch. There's a better example. The Broncos Colts famous Thursday night football game. That was horrible. That was not a defensive match. It's just both offenses were so horrible. There were plenty of Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Buccaneers
the Rams
games.
Patriots Super Bowl is the example I'll go to.
Yeah.
But I was only entertained in that game because I was a Patriots fan and I was like,
that's fair.
Locked into every play. And so
I think this could be a sneaky, entertaining one. It's definitely going to be low scoring. Let's move to the predictions. Ryan, who do you have winning this game and why?
Yeah, I think this is a tough one. I'm leaning towards the Steelers. It's just going to be their home opener. I think TJ Watt is the better of the two edge rushers. I trust this defense maybe a little bit more against like the arsenal of weapons that they're going to throw at them, or that the Chargers are going to throw at them. And I think offensively, like, they will do just enough to win.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with the Steelers. I think they're just going to be the slightly better team.
Okay. So I'm actually going to go with the road team here. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think it's just going to be a little bit more of a grinded out type game. And I think the Chargers, having Joe Alt now, I think is changing that offensive line. And the combination of J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards in the backfield, I think they're going to be really effective of running the ball. It's going to be the toughest matchup that they've had so far. By far,
yeah.
I think
for both teams it will be.
Yeah, and so, but I think they're just going to have a little bit more diversity. I think in passing the ball with Justin Herbert's capabilities, because both teams I think are going to be able to run the ball somewhat effectively, not as efficiently as they have been this season so far, just because of much more improved defenses. But then when it does come time to throw the ball, I think Justin Herbert is going to have one he's just a better quarterback. But also then, two, I think he is going to have a little bit more options to throw to, because Quentin Johnson seems to be picking up just a little bit. They're still going to have Lad McConkey as well. Still going to have Josh Palmer. Not guys who I'm saying are top receivers in the league, but that whole sum of guys is going to be better than just George Pickens, because really it's just George Pickens is going to be the guy here. Let me go look out. And even, too, Pat Freiermuth did get 4 catches for 39 yards today. He didn't have to throw the ball too much against Denver, but it's Pat Freiermuth is like the number 2 guy, and that's kind of really about it. I know Darnell Washington had the 1 touchdown today, and so, which I kind of forgot about him, but 6'8", 280-pound tight end, that's a pretty good weapon to have. But I'm going to go with the Chargers here. My one caveat is did see that Justin Herbert got rolled up on, and he played the whole game, but he did get an X-ray afterwards. So I have to monitor his status throughout the week. If Herbert doesn't play, then everything I just said, obviously, the huge quarterback advantage goes out the window. And then I'll have to definitely reevaluate this pick.
Yeah. No, I think that would definitely change a lot in this matchup. And I am looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a really close one.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Los Angeles Chargers? Will it be the Pittsburgh Steelers? And on that, we'll see you guys next time.